Hello students, today I am going to start the chapter South Asia and the Contemporary World. This is chapter 5 of your previous syllabus and chapter 4 of your current syllabus. That is Contemporary South Asia, and in the new syllabus chapter name is changed into South Asia and the Contemporary World. The contents are same but topic SARC is shifted from this chapter to the third chapter New Centers of Power. Let's begin. Students, the expression South Asia usually included Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. And geographical extent of South Asia is the mighty Himalaya in the north and the vast Indian Ocean, and the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal in the south. West and east respectively provide a natural insularity in the region, which is largely responsible for the linguistic, social and cultural distinctiveness of the subcontinent. The boundaries of the region are not as clear in the east and the west as they are in the north and the south. Afghanistan and Myanmar are often included in discussion of the region as whole. And China is an important player but is not considered to be a part of this region. But in this chapter, we shall use South Asia to mean the 7 countries mentioned above. And in the South Asia region, territorially, India is the biggest and most dominating of all these countries. As you all know, Pakistan, Bangladesh was the part of India before 1947. In 1947, India was divided and west wing of Pakistan and east wing of Pakistan was created. In 1971, this east wing becomes independent and Bangladesh comes into existence. Now we will discuss about the political systems in South Asia. The various countries in South Asia do not have the same kind of political systems. If we will talk about the Sri Lanka and India, they have successfully maintained democratic system since independence from British. Whereas Pakistan and Bangladesh have experienced both civilian and military rule, with Bangladesh remaining a democracy in the post-Cold War period. Pakistan began the post-Cold War period in 1991 with successive democratic governments under Benazir Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif respectively. But it suffered a military coup in 1999 under Pervez Musharraf, who ruled till 2008. Since then, Pakistan is being ruled by democratic governments. At present, as you all know, Imran Khan is the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So since 2008 to till date, it is a democratic country. If we will talk about the Nepal, Nepal was a constitutional monarchy till 2008 when a successful popular uprising led to the restoration of democracy and abolition of monarchy. Now Nepal is a republic with a multi-party democracy and KP Sharma Oli is present Prime Minister of Nepal. And Bhutan is a monarchy with the king as the head, but in practice it is a multi-party democracy. The Maldives, the other island nation, was a sultanate till 1968, when it was transformed into a republic with a presidential form of government. Despite the mixed record of the democratic experience, the people in all these countries share the aspiration for democracy. Now we have to see the political system or history after independence in Pakistan. After Pakistan framed its first constitution, General Ayub Khan took over the administration in 1958 and ruled as a military head till 1969. In 1965, at the time of war between India and Pakistan, General Ayub Khan was ruling, and in January 1966, he went to sign Tashkent Declaration with Indian Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, where Lal Bahadur Shastri died of a heart attack. In 1969, another General Yahya Khan seized power in Pakistan. During his time in 1971, Pakistan fought war with India over the issue of Bangladesh. And in this war, Pakistan was defeated and East Pakistan broke away and forming an independent state of Bangladesh. After this, elected government under the leadership of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto came to power from 1971 to 1977. but he was removed by General Ziaul Haq, who ruled till the death in 1988 in a plane crash. From 1988 to 1999, there were democratic governments under Benazir Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif alternatively. In 1999, Nawaz Sharif was overthrown by General Pervez Musharraf in a military coup, and who ruled the country till 2008. In 2008, again democratic elections were held, and since then the country is democratic. Now the question arises, what are the factors contributing to Pakistan's failure in building stable democracy? So here first reason, or you can say factor, is the social dominance of military, clergy and land-owning aristocracy has led to the frequent overthrow of elected governments and the establishment of military governments in Pakistan. Second factor is Pakistan's conflict with India has made the pro-military groups more powerful. Third is the lack of genuine international support for democratic rule in Pakistan has further encouraged the military to continue its dominance. Fourth factor is global Islamic terrorism. It is said that the democratic government come over there, then there would be no control over the Islamic terrorism. So if you have to keep the terrorist groups under control, the military rule is very necessary. Another thing is that Pakistan is a nuclear power. So there is a fear that if the nuclear bomb somehow goes into these hands of the Islamic terrorist groups, then what will be the consequences? So therefore, it is necessary that the military government are there, who are more powerful in controlling these Islamic terrorist groups. These are said to be mainly four factors which contribute to Pakistan's failure in building the stable democracy. In this video till here only, in part 2, we will discuss about the democracy in Bangladesh and democracy in Sri Lanka. Thank you.